Good afternoon. My name is James Coos, and I'm going to be the lecturer on this trip. We'll have a total of 5 lectures as we go along, virtually every sea day except the last one. And a little bit about my background. I first came to South America over 50 years ago. I did my master's research and doctoral research in Peru. I taught for 41 years at California State University in Fresno, and I've been doing lectures on cruise ships for the past 4 years. Buenas tardes. Me llamo James Coos. Estoy un ex catedrático en geografía en la Universidad Estatal de California. Yo estaba 41 años como catedrático, primera vez en Perú en hace más de 50 años, y por los últimos 4 años estoy echando charlas como en cruceros. I'm going to talk in both Spanish and English for all the lectures because we have not quite half the people as Spanish speakers. At least that was the case on the last voyage. So they're going to go back and forth Spanish and English. And I'm not going to, here on this lecture, I'm not going to do quite as much Spanish because I think the people from Argentina and Chile know the geography of their area. Voy a hacer los charlas en español en inglés, más o menos mitad y mitad. Pero en esta charla no tanto en español porque creo que los de Argentina y Chile saben la geografía de su país. It's a very long, narrow country, roughly 2,500 miles from north to south, más o menos 4,000 kilómetros norte al sur. It's very narrow. There's one spot that's only about 40 miles. Hay un sitio es muy estrecho, más o menos 60 kilómetros. Y en la parte de lo más ancho es más o menos 400 kilómetros. The widest spot is about 2,500 or 250 miles wide. So very long north-south. On the east side of the Andes, el lado este son los Andes, the Cordillera de los Andes, and la parte del oeste del Océano Pacífico, obviously. Pacific Ocean where we are to the west. The northern third of the country and the southern third of the country do not have very many people living in. Most of the people in Chile live from just to the north of Santiago to down to Puerto Montt, where we will be tomorrow. Casi no hay mucha gente en la tercera parte del país en el norte y en la tercera parte en el sur. Casi todos los chilenos viven entre poco al norte de Santiago hasta Puerto Montt. And 2 quick maps. I don't think we really need those. The area that I'm talking about today is what we call the Lake District. And the Lake District starts with the Rio Biobío, the city of Concepcion at its mouth, and extends all the way south down to Puerto Montt. The región que yo estoy hablando hoy día es la región de los lagos, empezando con el Rio Biobío hasta Puerto Montt. It's part of what we call the Central Valley of Chile, with the Andes to the east and the Coast Range to the west. Es parte de lo que se llama el Valle Central de Chile, con los Andes al este y la Cordillera de la Costa al oeste. And this was an area that did not have very many Europeans living in it during the colonial period. And the problem here was that the Spanish did not conquer the people that lived in this area. And that was true for the Incas as well. The Incas did not conquer these people. They're called the Araucanian Indians or the Mapuches. Durante la época de la conquista, la época colonial, los españoles no han vivido en esta zona, con excepción de algunas pequeñas ciudades. Los indios de esta zona, nativos de esta zona, los araucanios, los mapuches, estaban muy feroces y los españoles no estaban aquí. También con los incas no han conquistado los mapuche también. And there were a couple of settlements here, Osorno and Valdivia, but most of the settlement of Europeans in this area took place in the second half of the 19th century, after about 1850 or 1860. Según mucha gente había algunos pequeños ciudades como Osorno y Valdivia en la época de los españoles, pero en realidad los europeos no han llegado hasta la segunda mitad del siglo XIX. So we're talking about this area that's basically on this map from about Temuco or the Rio Biobío, which is about there, down going south from Temuco all the way down to Puerto Montt, where we'll be tomorrow. So this is the lake region. La región de los lagos es más o menos de Temuco, un poco norte, Rio Biobío, hasta Puerto Montt. And so we'll start with this area in the north, and I'm going to talk about this from north to south. There's where Concepcion is, and there's Temuco. The Rio Biobío is about right in there. So we're starting, this area here is where I'm first talking about. Voy a empezar con la parte norte del región, un poco norte de Temuco, con la Rio Biobío. Y estoy hablando primero de esa zona, un poco al norte de Temuco. So I'm just going to give you a lot of pictures here. I'm going to kind of give you a sense of what the region looks like. It's a very pretty area. Es una zona muy bonita con muchos árboles como este. Voy a ver muchas fotos aquí de la región un poco norte de Temuco. Just give you a sense of what it's looking like. It's a broad, flat valley, very rich agriculturally. Modern mechanized agriculture. And always in this area, if you look to the east, you'll be looking towards the Andes, and you'll be seeing mountains, and particularly volcanoes. Siempre en esta zona, cuando está mirando al este, siempre están los Andes, y en los Andes, en esta zona, son los volcanos. Son zona de volcanos. Como este. Entonces, estamos aquí en Temuco primero. We'll first start with Temuco. So there was Concepcion, and there's Temuco. And here's a closer view, Google Earth image. It's an imagen de Google Earth con Temuco. This is the largest city in the area. And this is a photo I took in 2009. I've actually traveled through this area for a month, 4 different times, starting in 1985, again in 2009, in 2011, and in 2015. I spent a month in the Lake District each year, and I've been there a couple of other times for short periods. So this is Temuco in 2009. There's from exactly the same spot in 1985. This is de 85. Yo estaba 4 veces en región de los lagos por un mes y varias otras veces por algunos días. Es 85, 2009 y la misma foto desde el mismo sitio en 85. It's grown quite a bit, and even the last time I was there, I wasn't up on this hillside, so I didn't get to take this exact same picture, but it's even grown more. There's more high-rise buildings. La ciudad está creciendo cada año. Cada vez que yo estaba allá, hay más edificios grandes. This is the plaza, parte central de la ciudad. The truck there is loaded down with wine. The wine in the Temuco area is not the really good wine. The wine is coming from closer to Santiago, either just north or just south of Santiago. Son botellas de vino, pero no vino como en Valle de los valles centrales cerca de Santiago. Pero los 2 hombres aquí son Mapuches. The 2 men there in the picture are Mapuche Indians. There's still a very large population of Mapuche living in the area around Temuco. There are some reservations in this area. There's still a lot of conflicts between the Mapuches and the Chilean government for various issues. Esos 2 hombres son Mapuches, y hay muchos Mapuche que viven cerca de Temuco, y hasta hoy hay varios conflictos entre el gobierno de Chile y los Mapuches. Ese también Mapuches and Mapuches. All right, we're continuing a little bit farther south. We're going to go southeast. We're going to go to an area called Villarrica, a lake called Villarrica, and town of Villarrica, and the town of Pucón. Estamos ahora empezando en la zona de Villarrica y Pucón, Lago de Villarrica. So, there's Temuco and Villarrica. This is the Villarrica volcano. When I was there in 1985, it was smoking. This is an 85 picture, and you can see a little bit of smoke coming off of it. En 85 había un pequeño erupción. This is también de 85. This is, I think, from 2011. In 2011. Just a beautiful area, the lakes and so forth. And this time of year, particularly in December, January, February, it's an area that's just full of tourists. The roads are crowded. In one town I'll show you in a moment, Pucón, I was there on a Sunday in 2011, and traffic was pretty much at a standstill. It was totally full of, the whole town was just absolutely crowded with people. Yo estaba ya en Pucón en 2011 en un domingo y está lleno de gente, imposible para manejar allá. It's one of my favorite parts of Chile. I love this area of the Villarrica Lake and the volcanoes in Pucón. This is in the city of Pucón. That's a photo from 2015. This is a photo de 2015 en el centro de Pucón. All right, now we're going to continue a little bit further south, and we're going to go down towards Valdivia, which is the oldest city in this whole area. This Google Earth image is taken as if we were over the Pacific Ocean, and we're looking across the Andes all the way over to Argentina. So Temuco that we were just looking at is there, and Villarrica, and now we're going to go to Valdivia. Esta imagen es Google Earth tomado desde, sí, estuvimos sobre el Pacífico mirando hasta Argentina al este con Temuco, Villarrica y Valdivia. So there's Valdivia. There's a fort, hay un castillo, and a boca del río, Calle Calle. There's this fort, actually there's two forts at the mouth of the river the Spanish put in to protect the town. And the river is called the Calle Calle River, Rio Calle Calle. This is from the fort, from Castillo Niebla. There was another fort on the other side of the river, and this is what protected the town of Valdivia from pirates. The city was attacked several times by pirates, and it was also attacked by the Araucanian or the Mapuche Indians. Valdivia fue atacado varias veces por piratas y también por los nativos. Pero hay dos castillos, un lado de Niebla y uno al otro lado del río. This is a reconstruction, es una reconstrucción del castillo. And this is the river, the mouth of the river, and here's the city of Valdivia. Es una ciudad más o menos grande, más de 100,000 personas, creo. I think it's a little more than 1,000 or 100,000 people. In a couple of my talks, I'm going to use some pictures that were taken by a former colleague of mine at my university, in my department at the university, Dr. Irvin. He was in this area in 1948. So when he died, I received his photographs, and I was able to use them now in some of my talks. En mi departamento en la universidad estaba un señor que ahora es muerto, pero él estaba en esta zona en 1948. Entonces, en esta charla y otra voy a usar algunos de sus fotos de él. Es la ciudad desde el río en 48. más o menos el mismo sitio, and este es 85, creo. Exact same spot. If we actually look at, some of the buildings are still the same. Some of the buildings were destroyed. This town was badly damaged in an earthquake, I think around 1960. I don't remember the exact date, but it's the strongest earthquake that has ever been recorded. Strongest earthquake ever recorded was Valdivia, about 1960. Muchos de estos edificios en este foto estaban destruidos en terremoto, creo que en 1960, más o menos, no recuerdo la fecha exacta, pero lo más fuerte terremoto que sabemos estaba en esa zona de Valdivia. And this is a photo, I think, from about 2011. So, otro de 48. This is on the plaza. And I think that's a photo from 2015, 2015. One of the things around Valdivia, very interesting, in this whole central part of the Lake District, there is a type of tree that's very unusual. It's called an araucaria tree. In English, we use the name, we call this the monkey puzzle tree. But araucarias, related species, are found in Australia and in Chile, southern Chile, and in southern Africa. And they're very old types of trees. The genus goes back to the time when those three areas were part of the same continent. I mean, millions and millions of years ago. It's a really interesting tree. Es un tipo de pino que está en Australia, en Chile y también en el sur de África. Es un tipo de árbol que está muy antiguo. Por miles de años en el pasado estaba cuando los tres lugares estaban juntos, miles de años en el pasado. These are the araucarian, or the monkey puzzle tree. They call it monkey puzzle because it's difficult for monkeys to climb up it, supposedly in Africa. Se llama un monkey puzzle in inglés. And it has these very strange, more or less, leaves to it. Very different from any other pine tree that we know of. The araucarias are taken for lumber. Most of the original trees in this area have been logged out. They've now replanted different types of species. Estaban durante los años, en la segunda mitad del siglo XX, casi todos los árboles originales estaban cortados y ahora hay diferentes tipos de pinos aquí. Pero más fotos de mi amigo en 48. These are more of Dr. Irvin's pictures from 1948, where the original trees were all cut down, araucarias, and now they're planting other species in this area. This is the type of lumbering that they were doing then. And more recently, it's a very modern type of lumbering. This is very much commercial lumbering in the whole area around Valdivia. There's a lot of lumber mills, paper mills, cellulose factories, and so forth here with the various types of wood that's being cut down. Hay muchos diferentes tipos de fábricas aquí por varios tipos de madera, papel, etc. For tourists, the one thing that's a little bit disconcerting is that they do clear cutting, so that the hills are completely bare of trees like this. Una cosa que muchos de los turistas no les gustan en esta zona es que los fábricas cortan todos los árboles y los cerros son desnudos como este. O este aquí. All right, we're going to continue on. There was Valdivia. Now we're going to head into the general area of Osorno, a little bit farther south, not too far north from Puerto Montt, where we'll be tomorrow. In fact, not too far from Osorno is a volcano called Osorno, which is there, and we will be able to see the Osorno volcano from Puerto Montt from the ship, and we'll also, if you do one of the land tours, you probably will go to where you can get a fairly good view of Volcano Osorno. En mañana, cuando estamos en esta región, es posible que podamos ver este volcán Osorno desde el barco, pero si tú tienes un tour a tierra, Puerto Montt, Puerto Varas, Frutillar, etc., probablemente puede ver el volcán Osorno. Entonces estamos hablando de esta zona cerca de Osorno aquí. The thing that's now really interesting for me and a very interesting history is that I mentioned before that the Spanish did not settle this area. There were very few Europeans who had moved into the Central Valley here, the Lake District. But beginning in the second half of the 19th century, beginning in the 1850s and 1860s, large numbers of Europeans, especially Germans, moved to the area of the Lake District. Empezando en la segunda mitad del siglo XIX, yo he dicho que no estaban muchos europeos, especialmente los españoles, durante la época colonial, pero empezando en la segunda mitad del siglo XIX, varios europeos y especialmente alemanes han llegado en esta zona. Entonces es una zona con mucha influencia de Alemania. It's a zone with a lot of European and especially German influence. The Osorno volcano, to me, is one of the prettiest volcanoes that you're going to see. It's just an absolutely magnificent volcano, and I'm going to show you lots of pictures of it here because I've seen it from all sorts of angles. I've actually driven almost all the way around it, and I've driven around the Lake Lankiwe that some of you will be visiting tomorrow. I've driven all the way around the lake. Yo he visto este volcán desde casi todos los lados y especialmente del lago Lankiwe. Yo estaba en toda la circunferencia de este lago. It's just an absolutely wonderful volcano. I've also driven up. There is a road that you can get up to the level of the snow, and I've gone up there. I'll show you a picture coming up from the snow line. Yo he manejado hasta el nivel del nieve en este volcán. Some of you will be on a tour. I'm not sure. I think there's only one that goes to this area, but it's the Salto de Petrowe, the waterfalls of Petrowe. Hay un tour, creo que hay solamente uno, pero hay uno que va hasta el Salto de Petrowe, que es cerca del volcán, Osorno volcano, and that's the Petrowe Falls again. And also, I think on that tour, they go a little bit farther up the road, and there's this lake, Todo Los Santos, on the other side of this lake. In other words, the mountains there in the background are in Argentina. No sé por seguro, pero creo que en los tours hasta Petrowe se van hasta este lago Todos los Santos, y desde el lago Todos los Santos puede ver Argentina. Los cerros en la distancia están parte de Argentina. This photo of Lake Lankiwe is taken from just about at the snow line on Osorno volcano. We drove all the way up to the end of the road. Hemos manejado hasta el fin del carretera en Volcano Osorno y estamos mirando hasta Lago Lankiwe. And that's also looking from the same spot down at Lago Lankiwe.